Hello. Today, I'd like to tell you a bit about how I use crystals. It may seem a very odd combination, NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and crystals. Why? Why do I find it necessary to use something which many people would call woo woo or even witch like alongside something like NLP, which is used in corporate life, for sales teams, for building teams, for negotiating, and so on. And then we have crystals. Well, there's several very good reasons, actually. One is that probably the most important one is that actually kids love them. They're so tactile. Some of them are smooth, some of them are a bit bumpy. They're all completely um, unique. They come from nature. They come in different shapes and sizes, and they vibrate at different energy levels, different sort of frequencies. And children know that. They just automatically can connect with that. They can hold them in their hand and they can choose which one they want to hold. And there's usually a link between the color that they choose and the chakra in their body. That's the sort of energy centers, which I'll just go on to tell you about, that need to be cleared. So they come in different colors. Let me tell you something about the chakras just so that that's sort of, clear. So the first one, the energy comes up through your body, and the first center, the first chakra, is the root chakra, and it's sometimes called the base chakra, and it's red. So when a child or a teen chooses a red crystal, it's often because there's some aspect of sort of safety, security, feeling grounded that is compromised at the moment. And I could go on and talk about sort of, what fruits and vegetables, what colours to wear, and so on another podcast. But for the moment, I'm just talking about the crystals themselves. So the red crystal is really good for a child that is feeling a bit insecure. Something's maybe happened in their life to sort of rock that sense of security, so they just don't feel grounded. They feel very unsure. And the essential oil that you could use alongside that crystal, if you wanted to, would be one that's called Balance. And that really indicates what that red crystal is doing. It's balancing, it's grounding you. And so that would be a really good crystal to put under the pillow for a child that's feeling a little insecure at the moment. Then the next chakra up is the sacral chakra, which is the sort of creative center, the womb area. It's the area of, can be the area of sort of vulnerability to some extent. And when that's blocked, we sort of feel a bit stuck. And so the crystal for that area of our body is something sort of orange. An orange type of color crystal will really help a child that's feeling a bit stuck and a bit needing to feel like there are more options in life, more choices, can feel creative about solving sort of problems, and so on. The next crystal up, the next chakra up, is the solar plexus, which is just sort of around, just under the, just above, sorry, the tummy button, that sort of across your body, across your tummy, higher up. And that crystal would be a yellow crystal. So any yellow crystal will support the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is that area which is all about feeling confident. It's about self-esteem. It's sort of like your powerhouse. And it's not too surprising, is it, that when children feel very unsettled and insecure and feel like they're just not connecting with friends, they're feeling sort of quite low self-esteem. It tends to be in the tummy area that they experience it, and that's around the solar plexus and the sacral area. So a yellow crystal will support confidence. And then the next chakra up is the heart chakra, and the heart chakra is either green or pink. Many children love a pink quartz, maybe yours does. A pink quartz is such a beautiful crystal. You can either get sort of quite a big, sort of raw type of pink quartz, or some use the tumble stones, and something like that under the pillow, again, for a child who's not feeling very loved at the moment, and wanting a bit of love in their life. Um, some say that the pink is for sort of love of self, and green the love of others, and you can actually use both, of course. And some automatically are drawn to sort of either pink or green, so either of those for the supports the heart chakra. The next, that's obviously all about love. The next chakra up is the throat chakra, and I do find a lot of teens struggle with their throat chakra. And that's about speaking their truth, about voicing their true self, being authentically them, being able to be accepted for who they are. And the colour for the throat chakra is blue. And I find a lot of mums too sort of find their throat chakra blocked. They just can't speak their truth, they can't be themselves. And you can hear that sometimes in the voice. It's sort of slightly a little bit throaty and a little bit sort of catches a bit. And I can always tell when I'm talking to a mum on the phone when their throat chakra's sort of a bit blocked. You can just sort of hear it like catching in the throat. And a blue stone, a blue crystal's lovely for that. I mean, when I say the colour of the crystal, what I mean is that there are loads and loads of different crystals, and each one, will, that they, so long as we go by the colour for the chakra, that's fine. But each one will resonate differently with you or your child or teen. So if you're going to a crystal shop, and perhaps from using a pendulum, which chakra is blocked, or you think that because of what you're struggling with, go to that area with those particular colours, and then just pick them up one by one and just feel whether that crystal is the right one for you, because there are many blue crystals, orange crystals, yellow and red, and so on. So any of them will really do for that particular chakra. And then the next one up is the third eye, which is indigo, and that's all about your inner knowing, that intuition. So that dark blue would be a good one in that area. And you can tell sometimes if that's not really balanced, if you're just really not sure of what to do and you just can't trust your own judgment. So that's a good crystal to hold to clear that. You can even put it on your third eye and just meditate and think about, what would be the right thing to do. And then on the crown, which is the top of your head, that's where the sort of energy goes through and passes through. And that one is either a purple, and of course the popular one there would be an amethyst, purple, or a clear crystal. And again, you would weigh up which one resonated with you personally. And that the purple or the clear crystal is all about higher purpose, what we're here for, what's important to us in life, what we want to do, how we want to move forward. So this tells you about the crystals and the chakras, and lots of teens in particular are using these crystals to support themselves. They're reading about them, they're talking to their friends about them, they're Googling them, they're going to crystal shops and talking to the owners there of the shops to find out which ones would be best for them. And I think that's lovely because They're really taking an interest and wanting to help themselves. Um, One of the other things about crystals is that teens in particular can feel very overwhelmed by life. There can be so much going on for them in terms of obviously the sort of school situation, exam stress, making decisions about the future, but also things like relationships with teachers, relationships with their peer group, their friendship group, boyfriends, girlfriends, friends out of school, with their parents, with their siblings, with themselves and their own body, eating and food issues. They generally don't feel they look great. They have very low self esteem about their appearance. Then there's social media issues. There's the whole thing about sort of, online presence and what's being said, what's not being said. It's a very, very difficult time for them, and to feel that they can be not only supported by a crystal, but use that in meditation, to be able to have a selection of crystals, to choose a particular one that they need in them in the moment. I mentioned having one under their pillow, but also maybe having one in a carrier around their neck, in their school bag, in their pocket, on their desk when they're doing their homework. How I use them in therapy is that sometimes, because of all these different issues, it's really hard for them to know where to start with what to say. And so, by asking them what crystal do they feel they need at the moment, I've got a whole selection, as you can imagine. Asking them to choose a crystal that represents what they'd like to get out of the session is so helpful, because they're then projecting onto that crystal what they want. So I know that if they're choosing, sort of, say, a yellow one, it may be about self-esteem. If they're choosing a red one, it might be an issue about sort of feeling safe, and so on. But it doesn't have to be about that. It could be, as they describe the crystal, I'll say, what is there about that crystal that conjures up, or that resonates with you in terms of what you want? How does it reflect what you want? And they might say it's sort of a bit lumpy, or a bit sharp, or it's a bit dull, or it's a bit small, or they'll talk and they'll expand on how that crystal represents what they're looking for from the session. Or I might ask them to choose a crystal for how they're feeling at the moment. What's going on for you at the moment, and they'll choose a particular crystal. And then again, they'll project onto that crystal how they're feeling. And then I might go on to say, and then could you choose a crystal for what you feel will help you to get there? So we're using crystals to connect with the emotions that they're feeling, and then they can project onto that crystal what they're feeling. And that's so much easier than just having to come up with some cognitive, some thought out, sensible why type question or answer, because there's so much going on for them. To try to actually refine it down to the sort of precise words as to what they're feeling can be so hard for them, quite apart from the fact that they're feeling that they're going to be judged, because automatically that's what they feel from any adult. I do my absolute best to make the therapy room a fun place. There's doors that open out onto the garden. There's some hens messing around outside that sort of that usually takes their eye, and they find quite amusing. There's lots of art and craft and play materials, which actually teens really love, because it feels very unthreatening. It feels very safe. It feels sort of quite childlike, or great. I know where I am with sand or with colour felt pens. But nevertheless, especially for a first session, to come in and see sort of a collection of crystals can be very reassuring. And when I ask them to just pick a crystal that reflects, how they feel right now, or one that they feel will help them right now, um, it can't be judged, can it? Because how can it be wrong? It can't possibly be wrong. I'm not going to say, oh, that's the wrong crystal. So they're starting off straight away with a premise that whatever they choose, they're right. and therefore it's safe to commit to that particular, that's the crystal that, really will help me right now. So, I mean, there's lots I can say about crystals. There's lots I can tell you about how to use them in therapy, how to use them as a teacher. Um, I'm going to be posting something in much more detail on Substack about that. I'm afraid it will be only for paid subscribers, because all of my sort of coaching and sort of teacher type content, the sort of professional content, I'm afraid is behind a paywall for the paid subscribers, which is £5 a month if you're interested. I also use the paid subscriptions to offer sort of free ebooks and so on. But I do hope you found this helpful. And if you're on the if you're a free subscriber to my podcast, to my Substack, then you'll see that there are lots of posts there that are free and available about all sorts of aspects of things that you can use with your kids. So that's all for now, and do get in touch for more information. My email address is judy@judybartkowiak.com. I'm very available for you to get in touch and talk about your child. On my website, there's a free 30-minute session sort of link. So I look forward to hearing from you. Bye for now.